Hello, this is the Fodderino's Master, and today I'm going to be teaching you how to use sine, cosine, and tangent to find an angle in a triangle. A right triangle, to be specific. So, first things first, I want to show you this board. I already did all the work and stuff. Gonna show you it. See if this works. May need to tilt the screen a bit to show everything. There we go. Okay. So, first thing you want to know is SOHCAHTOA. Right up there on the front. So, the SO in SOHCAHTOA is sine equals the opposite over the hypotenuse in a triangle. The ka is cosine, and that is adjacent over hypotenuse. And the tan of a vitoa in SOHCAHTOA, that is tangent, and that is opposite over adjacent. So, in this triangle you see here, alright, in this triangle, sorry about that, alright, we're going to be trying to find x, we're going to be trying to find y. Why? Because we feel like it. We see that this is 5, we see that this is 3, we see that this is 4. Sweet. Okay, so we're going to use tan to find x, which is right here. Okay, so in order to find x using tan, first thing we do, we set up a little thing. Alright? We set up a little thing. So, you're gonna see right here, tan of x equals opposite over adjacent. So, following that logic, x equals tan negative 1. Tan negative 1, you probably are wondering what on earth tan negative 1 is. I do not blame you. When I first started doing these things in algebra, it was honors algebra, or formal geometry. Yeah, that was the class, I think. Yeah, it was formal geometry. Alright, but when I first started doing these, that looked weird to me too. So, I'm going to explain a little bit. On your calculator, by the way, you will be allowed to use a calculator on problems like these. It's good. That's a nice thing. If you weren't allowed, that would be terrible. So anyhow, on your calculator, like this pupper, there will be the buttons sine, cosine, and tangent. You can probably see them here. Sine, cosine, tangent. And if you press second and then hit one of those buttons, you'll get the sine, cosine, or tangent negative. That means that you can divide by tan, cosine, or tangent, because sine, cosine, and tangent, they're all just numbers. And so you can divide by them. It's just that the way that it's set up, it's very confusing and weird looking. It's not really confusing, but, it's confusing to explain. Okay. Once you get the hang of it, it'll be simple. Okay. So, x equals negative tan, opposite over adjacent, so, okay. X equals tan negative 1, 4 over 3, because as we had said before, opposite over adjacent, tan. Alright, this is the angle, the opposite side to the angle, so that 4 right there. The adjacent to the angle, 5, that, okay, alright, or actually no, scratch that, that's the hypotenuse. What am I saying? Ignore that. Okay, 3 is the adjacent, that's adjacent, not, I mean, that looks like it would be adjacent. Actually, this is a good thing that I messed up so I can explain this to you. That is the hypotenuse. That is not the adjacent. This is the adjacent. It's adjacent to the 90-degree angle. Yeah. You got it? I hope. Yeah, maybe. I mean, it is complicated stuff. Okay. So. Yeah. Okay. That means that you put 3, because it's the adjacent, over there. So, tan negative 1, 4 over 3. And if you plug that into your calculator, which I did, you will get x equals 53.13010.235. Most of your teachers, probably all of your teachers, are going to not want you to put all of that. They're probably only going to want you to put a few digits after the decimal point. But I'm just going to put it all there to show a point later. Yeah. Okay. So, that is the angle measure of x. 53.13010.235. Alright. So you found that angle measure. Now, this one. You need to use sine. Why? Well, you don't really need to use sine, but it would be it's nicer to use sine. I mean, it's one way to do it. So, okay. Using sine, sine y equals opposite over hypotenuse, as we see up here. Yep. Okay. So, y equals sine negative 1, opposite over hypotenuse. We find the opposite to this, which is 3, right there. And we find the hypotenuse. This is the hypotenuse, 5. So, we plug that in there. Y equals negative sine, or whatever, sine negative 1. Yeah, you get what I mean, I think. Yeah, times 3 over 5. Okay, so, if you plug that into your calculator, you will get 36.86989765. Well, that is the angle measure of y. Now, if you don't believe me, for whatever reason, I don't know why you wouldn't believe me, but okay, let's just say you don't, and you think I'm being silly. Remember that triangle angles always add up to 180. Whenever you add all the angles in a triangle, they add up to 180. If you didn't know that before, you do now. Okay. So, we know from our equations and stuff, this angle and this angle. So, here x is plugged in. Here y is plugged in. Add those two up and you get 90 degrees. You can do it on your own if you wish. 90 degrees. Now, this was a right triangle. Remember, if you're doing this, you have to have a right triangle. I mean, there are other triangles that can use SOHCAHTOA as a helper, but you can't just leap into it straight like this. It's complicated, I'll probably show you later. Maybe. We'll see. But anyhow, I really need to not complicate things by stating things that you don't need to know yet. Okay. Anyhow, 90 degrees, we know, because it's a right triangle. Is right there. Okay. So, since we know that these two, x and y, both add up to 90, and this is 90, what does that tell you about the triangle? Well, it tells you all the angles add up to 180. Boom! We just proved that is a thing that you can use sine and cosine, well, sine and tan and such. We didn't really touch cosine, but it's basically the same thing. Okay, if you understand tan and sine, as far as this goes, you know what you're doing with cosine. So there you go. Now you know how to do that. Hope you have enjoyed this video. See you all later. Don't die. Have fun. Yeah.